Hi, I'm Dusk. Welcome to Realm of the Sacred Roots. I wanted to talk to you guys today about controlling your space and the spirits within. I've had comments in the past about how do I keep my place under control. I have lots of different items. I have things from crosses to uh, Catholic statues. I have African mass and I have fetish pieces and I have a lot of different antiques. And I also have graveyard urns and plaques that were on mausoleums. I have a whole lot of stuff in my place. And how do you keep all of those things, all of the spirits that are attached and associated with those things under control in a house, in a small environment? How do you manage the spirits within your confinement, within your space? So I wanted to talk to you about that today. It was a really good question, and I never thought about it because I just live it. I never really thought about it as something to discuss, but it makes sense as I sat down and wrote some notes for this video that it's not always innate within ourselves to know what to do and how to manage it. And when I thought back into my own life, I thought about a couple of stories I wanted to share, and then I was going to jump right into what I do to manage my space and what you can do to also manage yours. The first story I have was I liked antique shop was about a print that I found in an antique store. It was a really nice large print. It was in black and white, and it was this lady coming down this spiral stairway from like the early 1900s, maybe even 1800s. And she had this flowing gown on her. And I got her home. I couldn't wait to get her. It was just so haunting, and it spoke to me. I put her up on the wall. Now, this was many years ago, so this is earlier on when I was younger, and I would have dreams. I would see the spirit come out from the picture at night. And in a way, it was a haunting. And I wasn't sure how to handle it at the time. Like I said, this was many years ago. So after a while of this, and I'm thinking, why isn't this thing leaving me alone? One day I just had it, and I didn't want to give it to anyone else because why would I give this ghost or spirit to someone else? So I walked it down to I was just fed up one morning. I walked it down to my trash can and said to hell with it. Of course, later on I found out it was worth quite a bit of money, and I just kind of kicked myself for it now because it was like, now obviously I can exercise spirits and but I couldn't at the time. I didn't know what to do, so I just got rid of the picture. That was the first story I wanted to share with you. And the second story I wanted to share with you was I had this old urn. It was an old, almost like a French marble urn from a cemetery, because I always look for old things from cemeteries that I can buy or find in a thrift store, well, mostly antique stores and things like that. So that's what I did. I brought this thing home, and that night, it basically the spirit that was in there was pissed off and jumped on me that night and choked the hell out of me. I actually think that was the last time I was ever attacked, believe it or not, and like I said, this was many years ago, by a spirit. After that, I learned my lesson because in that case, I couldn't just throw away this heavy, gorgeous marble urn like I could that picture. It was just easier to walk down. This case, this was a lot more expensive, and I wasn't going to throw it away, and I wasn't going to get rid of it. I really like this piece. I still have it to this day, actually. So it forced me to learn how to exercise, how to get rid of unwanted spirits from my space. So those were the two quick stories I wanted to tell you. You have options. You can either get rid of an object that's in your house that's causing a disturbance, and hopefully the spirit is attached to that piece and goes with it, right? Or you can learn how to get rid of the spirit. I can do a video on that as well, but that's not the focus of this video. But those were pretty much your options. Well, I learned over time how to basically lock my space down. So I wanted to share a few bullet points with you, and hopefully you can use some of these items that some of these bullet points that I have in your own life. So the first thing I do is when I purchase something, and I'm going to start from outside the home and kind of work my way in if I'm doing this the way I'd like to do it. If you purchase something and you bring it inside your house, feel it. Especially if it's older and been used and it's been around for lots of years, there's probably something attached to it, most likely. I just had to learn myself, and I learned that I'm just attracted to things that have spirits in them, and usually darker spirits. That's just who I am. That's so I had to learn that about myself. If I'm attracted to a doll, guess what? Most likely it's haunted. It has a spirit within it. It's just how it is, or more than one. Uh, so you have to learn yourself, but feel out the item before you bring it home. And if you have any doubts about the item, leave it in your vehicle even overnight and see how your night goes. See if you have any dreams at night or nightmares at night. See how you feel about the item. Don't have to necessarily bring it in the house right away. So that would be my first thing is feel out what you are uh, purchasing before you bring it in the house. When you finally do bring something in the house, ensure to introduce yourself. I mentioned this in one of my other videos, to the item that you are bringing into the house. Ensure you stand in your authority and introduce yourself. Of course, if this item has a spirit within it, as the head of the household, you are standing within your authority as the priest or priestess or god or goddess of your space. And this is the intention you have for this item that you're bringing in. It's among other spirits, and basically this is your space, and this is how it goes, and this is what you tell and you speak to the item that you are bringing into your house. That's really important. If you feel any resistance from an item, it's got to go. Like I said, unless you can pull the spirit out and get rid of it and dissipate it, then the item has to go. Don't leave something in your house that you feel uncertain about, that you have angst about, or you're unsure about. Just don't do that to yourself. It's not a good look. So that's the first thing. The second thing is depend on your spirits, depend on your ancestors and your guides, depend on your protectors. Use them and talk to them, and just set your intention up front that this is what I'm doing. I'm locking my place down. Here's who can come in my space, right? So only no malevolent spirits, only ones that are here to help or to assist, or the ones that I allow in. Or you can also leave it up to your higher self to kind of be that gatekeeper for who comes in and out of your space. It's not a bad idea to do that. Pay attention to who you allow in your house, okay? Especially if you have parties and you have a lot of people in and out, watch the traffic you have in your house. Not everybody's happy that you have a cute place. Not everybody's happy and likes that you do this or that, or that your relationship's going like this, right? Not everybody is happy with how you look, or how you do your hair, or your nails are did. Like, not everybody, not every that you invite into your house is your friend. Okay, not to be paranoid, but this is something as practitioners we have to be aware of, and we just have to keep count of that. You have to pay attention to your surroundings. So they usually say that it's not what people take from your house, right? But it's what they leave behind. So an old friend had said that to me once, and it made complete sense to me. Okay, it's what they leave behind in your house that you're going to have to deal with once they're gone. Like, what the heck do they leave in your place that you now have to find, exercise, get the hell out of your house now? So watch people's intentions. That's important. Set wards on your house. Another good friend of mine who showed me how to set wards a long time ago. He's just awesome, and use what you use your elements. If you're water, if you're earth, if you're fire, use your elements to set your wards. If you're more about nature or animals, or use something that's tied to you, that means something to you, as your wards to set around your entire place, to protect your house and your space. And then again, set your intention for who you allow within your space. One time I had to do that because I was just getting, every time I'd wake up, I'd have spirits just of the dead standing right there next to my bed. Every single morning I'd wake up, and as much as I welcome them and I really enjoy their company, I sometimes it's just too much, and I would just set wards on the house. And I was like, okay, I need a break, right? I just need a break for a second. So it's not like it has to be protection against malevolent spirits, but sometimes you might just need a little quiet. And so setting wards on your place and setting the intention for your space is a good idea. These are just ideas I'm throwing at you so that you can better protect the space that you're in and better control the flow of traffic, the flow of spirits in and out of your space. Okay, follow with me, stay with me here. This is just good information that sometimes you don't hear, and so putting this together, you can actually set a really good security plan up for your house. Set guardians on your house. Okay, protectors are the ones that protect us as humans. Set guardians who protect buildings. Okay, if you're into mythology, you can set you can do gargoyles, you can do dragons. I love dragons, right? You can set all kind of different beings and different creatures to guard your space. Go ahead and set, right? Place them around your place. And and it's funny that people, this just reminded me of another story. One time I used black salt at this place that I was living for a while around the house, because the neighbor was a witch, and she was a sweetheart. She was just trying to figure me out. There was no ill intent, I don't believe. But the next morning, she knew whether she saw me, but she felt it, I'm sure, when she crossed the barrier over into the grass, that I had sprinkled salt. So it's not like other practitioners aren't going to know that you're setting up protections. Who cares? It doesn't matter. This is what you're setting up to protect yourself and your space, your things, that your spirits, your significant other, or whoever you're living with, your children, right? This is protection for you. So who cares if someone else knows that's what you've set up or used? But she asked me, she was like, oh, did you put something out last night? I said, sure did. I put up I said I put up a little protection, or I put a little something out in the yard, I think is what I said. And she just kind of looked at me a little weird, just leave them trying to figure it out. Okay, let me make sure I covered everything. Knowing who you are also helps. Once you get the outside locked down, once you're careful on what you bring in and who you allow in, remember, know who you are. It really has helped me on my journey to know who I am, who my higher self is, right? To know what kind of power, what kind of armies, what type of spirits do you have backing you up. That in itself, with almost without anything else, I'm like, yeah, what, right? Not to get cocky. You don't have to be, it's not like you're narcissistic about it, but you know who you are in the spirit world. So you're okay, right? And you stand in that authority, is what that is. It's authority. So know who you are, and even knowing who you were, because that adds up. That is part of your portfolio. So whatever you did, whatever powers you had before, whatever spirits you worked with before, is still relevant in this lifetime. So having that information, knowing that, definitely helps with your protection in this lifetime. Use the system or the pantheon that you follow. Use items from that system, right? So if so for example, the first time I met the Bawon, Samedi, I met him at an old house I was gonna purchase, and he came. It's kind of a long story. I'll have to tell this story one day. But long story short, he basically protected me. He basically saved me, and that's how I first met the Baron. And so, but under this house, it was an old house. Under this house was this brick, an old brick, one of those red bricks that they used to put on the old streets, and it was like thrown under this house. But I had found it under the house. I ended up not purchasing the house, but it was kind of this dance and this story that I have with the Bawon. And so when I took the brick with me, I still use the brick dust. You know, you get your mortar pestle and you break up that brick dust. Use that around your house, right? You can use the black salt around your house. You can, but use something that comes from the system that you work within, right? So to me, that brick is so special because I feel like it was blessed by him since he was there with me. So you can also use iron. Using iron, again, if you believe in this, if this is part of your system or your path, they say that the old cemeteries and graveyards, they made the iron gates that would supposedly hold spirits in. But you know that people use the horseshoe above the door, right? For good luck and to keep evil spirits away. And they use the railroad nails, right? Those big spikes. They'll put those in the four corners, right, of their house. So people use these things for keeping away spirits that intend to do harm. I have iron cauldrons, everything throughout my house, old cemetery gates, cemetery chains, things like that. But I work with the dead a lot, so to me, I'm home with those things. I would not feel right without those things around me. The cemetery is my home. So to me, that works. So I incorporate that in my own space even today. So you can use things from your own path, your own system or pantheon that you that will benefit you and that means something to you. That's kind of the key there. Um, Also, there's one other point I wanted to make. You can paint your walls using, you can put protection symbols on your walls when you paint, and you don't have to have it where it's obviously a sigil painted on the wall, right? A veve put painted on the wall. You don't have to have it where it's out in the open. You can take clear paint. You can take the same color paint and still mark it on the wall however you want to do it. You can still mark it on the wall with the same paint so that nobody will see it, but it's there still, right? Do that all along your walls, and that will ensure also that's, and you can do that with your different groups, right? So if you have African symbols, Native American symbols, if you're working maybe with Druids or the Celtic or whatever background you have, you can use those symbols and put those on, paint them on the walls in your house. It's an amazing idea. I can probably go on for a while here, but let's go back, kind of let's go over real quick what I just talked about to sum it up. Um, for the most part, and also, and before I do a summary here, don't take any shit, right? Don't take any shit from the spirits. I don't have those issues like with spirits and crazy stuff. And now, if I go to a cemetery, I went to a cemetery like last week. I know sometimes because I do this and somewhat welcome them and I talk to them and we kind of commune for a while. Sometimes at home, when I come home that night, I'll be freezing in bed. I mean, I talk to the whole cemetery. I speak to all the spirits within there. So sometimes at night I'm freezing because they're with me, and I'm okay with that. But I don't have nightmares. It's not like that. It's just a different type of relationship that I have with them. So as long as you are okay with the spirits that come with you, that come in the house, then it's okay. If there are spirits within the house that you don't want, then you stand in your authority and And I personally ask nicely at first, right? If I just don't feel comfortable with a certain spirit or whatever. And look, I'm just kind of like a heads up, right? I don't want you here, and you have to find another space. You have to find another object. You can't reside within my space. It's not happening. And I try to kindly ask, right? And then if that doesn't go well and there's still some BS happening, then you got to go. And I'm probably going to send you to a place you don't want to go. And then you ramp it up. Like, so I don't initially believe kind of like some of the religious folk where you're just like, come on out, get on it, get out and screaming at the spirit. Like, I wouldn't want anyone to scream at me in that way, right? So I try to respect all spirits and ask them to leave, right? And if that doesn't work, then like I said, I'm going to send you somewhere you're not going to want to go. Trust me. And so I've never had an issue. It's been years. So that's what I recommend. That's what works for me. And I have lots of spirits in my house. And I deal with lots of different spirits, even within African tribes. I can talk forever on this. I'm trying to make this video a little shorter. Even within tribes, I know some tribes didn't get along with each other back in the days because I have to research this for these different items that I have. I have different fetish items. I have different masks, and they're from different tribes. Some of them are rival tribes, but I'm drawn to the item. And so when I bring one of the other masks, like if one of my I have different protector masks that watch over me, and that they're very protective of me, but they were rival African tribes. You know, I respectfully but firmly let them know this is gonna work. I want both of you in this house, right? But like, I don't want any bullshit. You will find a way to get along without the bullshit. It's just not going to happen in here. Okay, so whatever happened happened, but now you're under, basically like new authority here. This is how this works. And I've never had issues, even if they were opposing tribes. And they're very strong spirits. It's not like they're pushovers. They're very strong, but they respect the space they're in. And I have nothing but respect for all of them, for all of these things. We just need to get along while you're here with me in my space. And that's how I present it. So, just to recap what I've gone over, I try to fit in a lot in a short amount of time, and probably could dive into each one of those points for 10 or 15 minutes at least a piece. But let's just do a quick recap. Know who you are, right? Know where you stand. Know who you were. Know who your higher self is, right? Do those things so you know the authority you're standing in. Let's start with that. 2, know what you're buying. Feel it out before you bring it in the house, especially if they're older items. And if you have any doubts or questions, leave it in your vehicle. See if you have any nightmares. See how that works. If you feel comfortable with it, then bring it into the house the next morning. Watch who you invite into your house. Not everybody is your friend. Not everybody will necessarily take something from your house, but they could leave something in your house, even if it's unintentional. Okay, so be careful who you invite in your house. Sometimes those are the hardest things to get rid of, are jealous spirits. Okay, so that's important. Don't forget to put wards on your house. Use something that you're familiar with. Use your elements to ward your house and actually put protection on it. Use the system that you're familiar working with, or the pantheon that you work within. Use if it's the brick dust or the iron, whatever you're used to using in your system, that's what you use for your protection, and to ensure that you're able to manage your space in the best way. Don't forget to set guardians on your house. So that's important, because that's kind of like your first one of your first defenses in there. And speak to the spirits. Introduce yourself. Let them know who you are. And even if they're opposing, in my case, tribes or opposing spirits, they can still reside within your space. You just let them know what the rules are, and this is how it works. Any bullshit, then you have to go. We're not doing it. We're not doing it in my space, and that's the end of it. There's no questions, no debate about that, and it works. It does work. So it's just being aware of your surroundings. But a lot of people have asked me that. How do I control my space and the spirits within? So that's how I do it. So I wanted to do this quick video. I might be forgetting some things in there, but I wanted to at least get that out for you. I also wanted to talk to you. Oh, I have a new vampire skull back there. He's awesome. I wanted to talk to you real quick. A shout out to Ravana Noon. I took his shadow work class, which was excellent, and he has a vampire class, and he also has a necromancy class and some other classes coming up. I will put his YouTube link down in the description below so you guys can check it out. So anyways, just trying to pass on knowledge where I can, and we're all here to help each other grow in this field. So let's get it going. Well, I thank you guys for watching. Thank you for subscribing and for liking this video, and I'll be back with more soon. See you next time.